really matter. It's not really relevant. The point is, like, also in that moment, like, we fully engaged with the press. Like, we were like giving everything we could to support this Vanity Fair article and to spark it and to give it flight. We
Yeah,
poured ourselves for a
we
year
did.
into it,
Oh my gosh.
and it was,
While moving and
yeah, unbelievably disappointing when what happened,
yeah.
what came out did. It was just a joke.
Oh my
We
god.
poured our love into that to bring this into the world. And
Notice again how all of their language is framing themselves as a victim. It was so disappointing for them. They were moving, they poured so much love into this article. I mean, it's everything is just so focused on their own experience. They're so self-absorbed, so self-focused. They don't even talk about any sort of shock that they might have felt about, if the what was actually written, the accusations, the allegations, the very, very serious things that people were accusing them of. They don't talk about any kind of concern they might have felt for addressing these issues. They're just they only know how to talk about their own feelings and their own sort of how victimized they felt.
you know, off it went.
Off it went. Yeah, podcasts came from it.
We didn't engage in
Docudramas.
any of the media after that
No.
until CTV,
Right.
because we learned that the media doesn't do anything for you.
They don't care. They're gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna write their little story, and you're just a character in their story, and you give up your story. And that was the last thing I ever said to Alice Hines, who wrote the Vanity Fair magazine, is like, nobody has the right to share my story but me.
Nobody has the right. Okay, I mean, this is just ridiculous. What does she think is happening when you consent to do an interview with a journalist, or when you consent to participate in a news article that's being written or in a documentary that's being made? You are consenting to that media outlet creating content about your story. That's what's happening. So the self-delusion to think that other people don't have the right to share your story, when that is exactly what you have consented to happen when you participate in a piece of content being created. And further than that, when you're someone in the public eye, the media is going to create content about your story, whether you like it or not. That is just the way that the world works. That's just how media works. It's how the internet works. So for her to act like such a diva, to act so furious that someone had the audacity to share her story, someone who wasn't her had the audacity to share her story in an unflattering light, to write things that she did not agree with. I mean, it's making her look really bad, in my opinion. It's making her look like someone who is not a grown, mature adult who can handle the reality of how the media actually works. I don't like these two, and the lack of maturity and self-awareness is just a massive reason why I don't like them and why I have never liked them. They're so self-absorbed, so self-deluded. The delusions of grandeur, the delusions of self-importance.
Claim my story, and this is my story, and this is my truth, and I'm going to share it. And this is what happened to me.
This is us.
And what exactly did happen to her? Like, what is her big trauma that she experienced through all of this? What, they're trying so desperately to create this perception that they've been so victimized and that they have a story that they want to tell. And we've yet to hear anything really bad that happened to them. People published media about them that didn't make them look particularly good. seems like there was a lot of truth to what was said about them. Journalists came to their house and wanted their commentary. I mean, this is the worst of what we've heard that has happened to Jet. They're so desperate to make themselves into the victims. And this is the worst of what they've experienced that we've heard of. Um, I mean, their followers, ex members who have been victimized by the cult, have experienced far worse things than that. You know, they've had their lives upended, and they have all this brainwashing and indoctrination to undo. That can take years. You know, cult recovery is not a joke. It's, you know, a very, very difficult experience. But all Jeff and Shaleia can talk about is themselves and how they've been victimized. And again, this is a very common tactic with cult leaders.
Exactly.
So, big cultural, bubble with Twin Flames. And then we were driving to the forefront. We're also, like Shaleia was saying, easy to misinterpret. We have a ton of content.
Yeah.
And there were a few people from our community creating drama, and as they left, didn't want to leave respectfully, had big upsets. Okay. All of that was just primer, though, for the real thing, which was cults and true crime and the pandemic, which got everyone upset and afraid and angry, and also
needing their content.
another element.
What do true crime and cults and the pandemic have to do with one another? I hope that he's going to explain this and that he's not just chucking buzzwords at the wall just to see what sticks. I mean, I'm not holding out much hope for a coherent theory here, but let's see how he's going to try and, pull the pandemic into all of this as well.
Religions and which got everyone upset and afraid and angry, and also
needing their content.
Another element of fear of religions, and just this huge cultural apex came together, and we were just the easy pickings off the top, eager and willing to engage. Yeah. And they gobbled it up, and off it went for 5 years.
Off it went.
So they're saying that during the pandemic, there was a cultural appetite. The public was eager for content around true crime and cults. Well, first of all, I'm kind of glad that they are lumping themselves into the category of true crime, because I do actually agree that crimes probably have been committed inside Twin Flames universe. So I think that's a good sign. But they're saying that during the pandemic, people's appetite for this sort of content grew. And so the media spun a narrative in order to feed the beast, so-called, of the public, desire to watch content about cults and true crime. I mean, the accusations about Twin Flames universe preceded the pandemic. This group have been active, I believe, since 2016, 2017, and people have been saying very concerning things about them since way before the pandemic. And the documentaries, the Amazon Prime and Netflix documentaries came out in 2023, which was quite a bit after the pandemic. So I don't know, and the investigation that the various government departments have been undertaking into Twin Flames universe has been ongoing ever since 2023 when the documentary came out. As I mentioned in the last video, the Netflix documentary makers handed over the evidence that they had to the authorities. And Keely Griffin, who is one of the main whistleblowers of this cult, has been working closely with authorities, handing over the evidence that she had. She was a very high up member of Twin Flames universe, and she left the group. And she's been working with the makers of the documentaries and also with the authorities because she has a lot of evidence on her computer and various hard drives. She's been handing them over. And so this has really been kind of a culmination. 2025, we're quite a few years out from the pandemic. And this is still ongoing. So I think the link to the pandemic is somewhat dubious. He's trying to say that this was just a cultural thing, and they were, he and Shaleia and their group were just sort of being sacrificed because people wanted content. I think it's a bit more than that, you know?
So we think they've kind of gotten sick of the story. People kind of get this is boring.
Yeah.
They haven't, though. I mean, that Canadian TV documentary came out just a few months ago. The authorities are now actually closing in. They raided Jeff and Shaleia's home and the home of another couple in the Twin Flames universe, Christine and Jason Emmerich. They raided their homes as well. They've confiscated documents. I personally don't think that they are sick of this group. I think they're only getting started.
We think they've kind of gotten sick of the story. People kind of get this is boring.
Yeah.
Jeff and Shaleia and Twin Flames universe are not engaging in a way that we want them to.
Ever since
they didn't go down.
Ever since Pluto went into Aquarius, things have changed for the better.
Cool. Yeah, astrology.
Yeah.
Throughout all of this, insane pressure, we grew. Not because of it.
It's true, though.
But despite it.
It's funny because like they're circulating around the media after the Netflix docudrama that like we weren't doing well and we were losing revenue, losing members. But I'll be honest, it wasn't true. We only lost a very small handful of people who were on the fence anyway during the Netflix docudrama. And to be honest, not once did our revenue drop.
I don't believe this. This is a lie, in my opinion. They wouldn't have participated in the Canadian TV documentary. They wouldn't have hired a PR firm at a cost of tens of thousands of dollars. They wouldn't be making this video to sort of try and defend themselves if their revenue wasn't suffering, if they were just growing, if they were doing so amazingly ever since the documentaries came out. They wouldn't feel the need to take all these steps in order to try and rescue their image. This group absolutely has suffered since those documentaries came out. I believe that a lot of people left the group, and I believe that far fewer people have been joining the group. And I think these things that Jeff and Shaleia have been doing, the hiring the PR firm, the participating in the documentary, attempting to set the record straight, making this video, I think these are all desperate attempts to try and recover some of their former success, to try and convince people that, they are actually a legitimate group, that you don't need to worry about them. It was all lies. A group that's doing well, a group that's flourishing, doesn't feel the need to do any of this. It doesn't make sense. Why would you hire a PR firm at a cost of a lot of money if you're actually doing so well? This is just not true.
A small handful of people who were on the fence anyway during the Netflix docudrama. And to be honest, not once did our revenue drop throughout all this. Actually, it just increased because of all the attention we're getting. I guess it's true. Bad press, good press. Any press is good press.
Well, if the accusations of you being a cult were actually such a good thing, you wouldn't be so desperate to try and explain that you're not a cult. People know what a cult is. People know that it's not a good thing. And as I say, I believe people are steering clear of this group more and more. And that's why Jeff and Shaleia are feeling the need to try and say, oh, no, everything that the media said about us wasn't actually true.
It didn't mean that we liked it. That's not what we liked. That's not what we wanted. Not what we preferred. But like, it is what it is. And we were under enormous pressure and stress the entire time. And yeah, we we did have to adjust ourselves, and that was really hard because we really do like being out there. We like talking. We like sharing ourselves with you guys, but the environment wasn't conducive for us to do that. So
We're not going anywhere.
we're not going anywhere.
We're not going to stop sharing the twin flame teaching with the world.
I really do hope that these investigations by various government agencies, the IRS, the Department of Labor, the Attorney General's office, we don't know who else might be involved. Hopefully, the FBI is also going to be involved. But I really do hope these investigations do lead somewhere. And I do not necessarily agree with Jeff that they're not going anywhere. I think that this group will eventually dwindle down into a very fringe cult of diehard believers if they are not that already. I think that's probably pretty much what they are at this point. And eventually, their criminal activities are going to get them landed in hot water. Eventually, they are going to run foul of the justice system, and Jeff and Shaleia are either going to end up in prison or the organization is going to be shut down. I firmly believe that. I believe this group is going the same way as Nexium. And I, for one, can't wait.
Got upset, or it got really, 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 really hard.
Yeah, sorry.
We're still here. We're still doing it.
Still here.
Nothing has changed. We're still helping people. People are still getting into harmonious union to this day. People are still healing to this.
Still scamming people. Look, I just also wanted to mention again, groups like this will use any kind of positive testimony that they can latch onto as a shield against really nefarious things that are going on. And just always, bear that in mind, that what you might see if you encounter one of these groups online, or if you're tempted to join, but what you might see as like the front of the group is always a cover for what's going on behind the scenes, which you often won't see at first. If you do go to their website and you're tempted to look at the positive stories and think, well, maybe there is some good to this teaching, maybe there is something to this whole twin flame mirror exercise nonsense, just bear in mind that it's gradual, and it starts with the positive testimonies and the positive experience, and it gets darker and more sinister the further into the group that you get.
We've never done anything illegal, so like we're not going anywhere.
Imagine.
I think the government departments that are investigating you would beg to differ. Oh, that's an unfortunate pause for Jeff that I do not apologize for.
We checked in with our professionals and we said, is there something illegal going on? We don't think so. We pay you guys, and they're like, nope, all your books are straight and fair, and yep, everything is in good order. There's nothing illegal going on, and yeah, like I guess they had the detectives came in and when we lived downstate, investigated us. They didn't find
Sent it to
anything
the
because there's
FBI.
nothing going on, you guys.
Well, bear in mind, this video is made before the raid that happened on the 1st of July, which is 2 weeks ago now. They made this video before that, and we do know that the government departments that are investigating them did confiscate documents. And look, it might take time, but I do believe this group definitely is engaged in criminal activity, and they are going down at some point. It's just a question of when.
Like what we're saying, you can turn off your computer, you can leave a group, you can unsubscribe. Like there's no one forcing you here.
Well, it's not really about whether or not people like what you're saying. It's about the abuse that's being perpetrated against people. It's about the fact that you're harming people. And that's what people have a problem with. I just feel the need to keep saying that because she's going to make it sound as if this is just a disagreement between them and a few former students. People just didn't like things that were being said. It's far more serious than that. I know we all know that, but I feel the need to keep pointing it out because they're going to keep trying to downplay it.
You can just go.
I think that, beneath this, though, the real issue, with all that aside, right, the cultural reasons, there is a spiritual reason that us and this happened. And it's that we're touching a hurt in society.
Yeah.
And it's a very real hurt. And it's the hurt of...
Please don't touch my hurts, Jeff. No one wants that. No one needs that.
touching a hurt in society.
Yeah.
And it's a very real hurt. And it's the hurt of a sense of separation from your joy, from God, from love itself.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are loudly and proudly and confidently shouting, love is real, love is real, you can have it.
It's for you too. Just listen to us. It sounds like such a good deal.
Just listen to us. So here we have Jeff and Shaleia positioning themselves as the intermediaries between people and the love that they seek. Jeff and Shaleia positioning themselves as the intermediary between people and God. This is a huge red flag if you see this from a coach, and a lot of dating coaches will say this. You can have the love of your dreams. You can have, the relationship that you desire if you just listen to me. This is it's very, it's a very, very big red flag when you hear this. Someone trying to position themselves as having all the answers. Someone, because the logical conclusion of this is you will be lost without me. If you choose to reject what I'm saying, you are doomed to a life of loneliness and misery. And a lot of people will get sucked in by this, and then it creates dependency because you start to tie your own sense of love and happiness to the teachers, the gurus. And you start to believe that you can't have love or happiness outside of the group, outside of the teachings.
Right. But it's true. Like we have found a method that can help you attract the life of your dreams. And don't just listen to us and take it at face value. The only way to verify it yourself is to try it on. Like genuinely try it on. And then see what happens. And then see how you feel. Like, no, this isn't really working. I don't really think this is for me. Or, hey, I applied the work and wow, like blocks are clearing. Like my life is getting better. My health is improving. My relationships are improving. Oh my God, my twin flame just unblocked me.
Oh my God, my twin flame just filed a restraining order against me.
Sudden windfall of cash. Like I'm not even like
happens all the time.
Oh my gosh, I just handed over every penny of my life savings to Jeff and Shaleia for their ridiculously overpriced courses.
This is what literally happens as like a daily in our community for those who genuinely do the spiritual work, because the spiritual work that we share with you guys has real spiritual results. And that's what I have felt in my life. Like, and I had my spiritual mentor, and she taught me the method, and I tested it when I was with her. I went all in, and I noticed like I started feeling better.
Also, anyone who tells you to go all in, whether it's a so-called business coach or a dating coach or a spiritual guru, anyone who tells you to go all in and to basically devote your entire life to their teachings, another massive red flag, huge red flag. it's tempting when people are desperate. They're like, well, I have nothing to lose. What do I have to lose? Things can't get any worse for me. So I might as well just go all in on this. But it's a red flag. It's a trap. People like this prey on your vulnerability. So again, hearing someone tell you to go all in, big red flag.
Happening. She taught me the method, and I tested it when I was with her. I went all in, and I noticed like I started feeling better. Even if nothing was happening externally, everything was changing internally. I was feeling so much better, so much more freer, so much more happier and healthier. I was reframing experiences in my life that were bringing me suffering, and that ultimately started leading me to my liberation. And then I met Jeff, and I had always I had been seeking my twin flame. I'd been looking for him. I had been wondering. I'd been praying to God, and
Remember how at the beginning of the video they said they were going to get into all the tea? They were actually going to start addressing the accusations that people had leveled against them. They were actually going to get into the details. All these two know how to do is to talk about themselves, their own, feelings, their own experiences. This is all Shaleia knows how to do, is to talk about her. It's me, me, me. And I think she's maybe hoping that they have, like, with these few vague statements they've made about the media and about upsets, she's hoping people are just going to forget about the serious allegations, and she's going to talk a bit about her own success story, and that'll placate people. She really thinks that this is a legitimate way to try and address the things that people are saying about Twin Flames universe. It's quite staggering, really.
and I had always I had been seeking my twin flame. I'd been looking for him. I had been wondering. I'd been praying to God and asking God. I've been doing my prayers and my little sacred rituals. And then one day he just showed up so casually on Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, it's always been you. You've been on my Facebook for like a year, And
So how did he just show up if he'd been on her Facebook for years or a year? I don't know. That's not a very interesting story.
it was not what I expected at all. And which is another common trait I find on the twin flame journey. Your twin flame may not always be what you expect. They could be right in front of you and you have no idea. But this is why we do the inner work, is to heal those blocks so that we can see ourselves and love ourselves there. Therefore, see our twin flame and choose and love our twin flame. So I want to move on to kind of, maybe for me, it feels like the final question or issue that was brought up in all the docudramas and in a lot of comments from people who were...
I mean, I've got a lot of content still.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's fine.
Yeah.
But another big upset that came up and concern was about our wealth and how we make money, and that we make a lot of money, and that we're shoving our luxury goods and our luxurious lifestyle.
Well, it's the fact that they take 50% of their coaches' earnings. They make their coaches pay for all of their content at a cost of many thousands of dollars. And then once the coaches are finally at a point where they are earning an income because they're coaching other people, who come to them for coaching, Jeff and Shaleia are skimming 50% of the earnings for themselves. And where is the justification for that? What is how can they justify doing that? It's so enraging. I think it's not so much that Jeff and Shaleia were making a lot of money, it's how they're making their money, which people are so upset about.
Throat, which I didn't resonate with that. Scrolling through my Instagram,
What a big surprise.
it's mostly just my family and out in nature. with a couple pictures of like, you know, here's our new car that we got, you know. I had like one picture of like my Chanel purse, which was special because it was the very last design that Karl Lagerfeld did.
I really struggle with these two. I'm going to have to break this video up into smaller portions because I find myself getting so heated listening to them. They're so infuriating for me to listen to. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. So I'm going to break these up into smaller portions, these videos, so that I don't overwhelm myself and blow a fuse. She's starting to talk about the wealth aspect and her Chanel bag and her Instagram and the way that they were flaunting their wealth. And that's a whole can of worms, which maybe deserves its own video. So I'm going to maybe stop it there for today. And I will see you guys again really soon for part 4.